Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio. If you're looking for a great gift for the Indiana sports fan in your life, just go to isbradio.itemorder.com and you'll find plenty of options, including sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, pullovers, caps, and much more, including our Welcome to the SIG 10 line that benefits the local Boys and Girls Club. That's isbradio.itemorder.com. isbradio.itemorder.com.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayler's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! America! They got a football team now!
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Jim Coyle with you now, and joined by the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. And Don, I guess it was kind of a weekend off in words only, but a lot still going on behind the scenes. Indiana had a basketball game on Friday. They've got a game tonight. We've had the CFP final reveal yesterday, and I guess we might as well start there because that's the biggest story on the books. Indiana faced not only in the CFP, which we assume, but they're going to be facing a Notre Dame team that has the fans jumping.
What do you mean jumping?
Well, I mean, they're excited about this game. They seem to be
course.
really excited about this matchup, which it was going to be a great matchup regardless. They were going to play a Georgia or a Texas or somebody of great stature, but to not have to even leave the state to play a team and a game of this magnitude, pretty big.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, Jim, that people are excited about this matchup. I actually said a couple of weeks ago, before everything came out, that I thought I'd love to see Indiana play Notre Dame. I've always liked that matchup. We don't get to play them very often. 1991 was the only time.
It's been a little bit, Don.
91 was the last time we played them, and the only time in my 52 years that Notre Dame and Indiana have been on the football field together. Unfortunately, it's still at Notre Dame, so I'd like it for it to be a home game, but it didn't work out that way. I think we all kind of knew that was probably Indiana was going to end up being on the road no matter who they were paired up against at this point. But the fact of the matter is Indiana is in the playoffs, and that's the one thing you can count on that this program has been able to do this year, which has shocked the nation, so to speak, in what Curt Cignetti has been able to accomplish with this football team.
Oh, without question, and it's going to continue because Indiana has the opportunity to go to Notre Dame and continue their season, and there's no reason to think that they can't get that job done. It is going to be definitely an effort required of the highest magnitude, but Indiana is a very, very solid football team. I think that they probably learned a lot of lessons from the game at Ohio State in that, you know, Coach Cignetti has talked about the noise being the significant problem for them, right, that really led to a lot of their issues. And I believe that, including the punt. When you have that kind of noise, and if people, I've tried to explain to them, I've been to Michigan is the loudest place on planet Earth I've ever been to. And I know that Ohio State is loud as well, but this noise, it not only is you can't hear anything, it distracts you. It takes your thinking away. So when a team that is not used to that, I can see how that affected them. But the good thing is Notre Dame is not quite that loud, And secondly, they've learned from that. And I think I mentioned a couple times shows it back with you that I think they should practice with their earbuds in, so they got Guns N' Roses on high and you can't hear anything. But
well, they actually have.
They
actually have, Jim. I mean, Coach Signetti has said we practice with the crowd noise ever since that ball game. Every practice they go in there and they've got crowd noise that they're dealing with. So there. And here's the thing. In my opinion, I think Ohio State had the crowd noise elevated through microphones and all that kind of thing. I've never heard it any louder any place that I've ever been than what we saw at Ohio Stadium.
And I heard a couple of people not say the same, say that the noise level was unbelievable. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's a lot of people, but it's like when I talk about Michigan is below grade and it's a complete bowl. And the Horseshoe's not quite like that. Still has 100,000 people, but boy, that noise level, it really affects you.
Well, it does. And you've got to be, and obviously they worked on a silent count, but maybe they had some tells in their silent count snaps and things like that. Whatever the case, I guarantee you that Signetti has taken care of it heading into this matchup with Notre Dame.
I heard him say I believe it was on one of the ESPN hits he was doing that, and verbatim, I will never do that again. He was talking to going to the straight silent count, but it was in a way where Ohio State easily picked it up and was able to just time their blitzes, and you could see that. So good thing for Indiana. That game probably helped them immensely in going into this situation, because
no question.
Face that, you'd rather face it then than face it now.
Right. There's no question it helped. They will be prepared for any kind of crowd noise situation I think that they will face in any of these ball games upcoming. And Notre Dame is the first test. And there's no question Notre Dame's got a tremendous ground game. I mean, tremendous ground game. But Indiana has a defense that's been one of the best in the Big Ten and in the country this year against the run. So this is going to be an interesting matchup in that regard alone. The question is, what kind of weather will be on that particular night? Will it be snowing? You never know with the lake effects and all those kinds of things that they deal with up there. Predicting the weather at this time of year is probably a gamble at best, a 50-50 deal. And right now they're saying it's going to be 30 and clear. We'll see. You don't want to get carried away.
Trust weather forecast that is 2 weeks out. I can promise you that.
Exactly.
Don, I'm old enough, or I'm old enough. I guess I could stop when I said I'm old. I'm old. I was at that game in '91, not with you, but in with you in spirit. I was there at covering that. I was just starting out my measly career at WLKY in Louisville, and I remember being at that game and how big of a deal it was. And
it was.
It really was huge. I had a koozie, and it's been lost since then, that had that game stamped on it and all that. And for these teams to not play for this duration is crazy when they play Purdue as often as they do. I'm just a little shocked that it hasn't happened, but how the irony of it happening in the college football playoff. And this is a golden opportunity for Indiana to really stamp the legitimacy of their program. Not that they need to do that, in my opinion, but unfortunately you do need to do that for certain people outside of the program who are not seeing it the same way.
Right. There's no question. From the perspective of this, this has been a historical season at Indiana. It's accomplished more than we could have ever imagined going into the year because of the newness of the coach, the coaching staff, the players that they brought in. You would have thought if they would have had an 8-4 season or a 9-3 season, this would have been a phenomenal year. But Indiana's had a tremendous season, a historic season with the 11 wins against just one loss. And they beat Michigan in the process there as well, which is, that's probably the highlight game of the year in the sense of who they played, so to speak. But when you look at this Indiana football team, you can see what Curt Cignetti has done. You can see the improvement, the ability to move the football with an offense that is capable of both running it and throwing it. Everything that we've seen this year has been special. And for Indiana to play Notre Dame at Notre Dame and win that ball game, it's beyond the pale, so to speak, because you would have never expected that at the beginning of this season. So all I can tell you is be excited. Be excited about the matchup. Be excited about the opportunity and the fact that this season is not over with, and they've got a chance to move on in the playoff if they win.
Absolutely. And to do it in this manner, I mean, like I said, it would have been cool to see Indiana do that, where if it was between the hedges, if it was in Austin, it wouldn't have mattered. But being at Notre Dame and doing it in that stadium, to me, it just does a little bit more, because you've got the Notre Dame's a national team and their recruiting is national, but they still are one of those programs that if there's a 5-star player in the state of Indiana, Notre Dame is going to be one of the teams he's looking at, and it's not traditionally been Indiana.
Right.
This is also a way to change those perceptions.
No question. It's huge. There's no question in that regard. And in the state, let's face it, Notre Dame has been the football school in the state. Indiana, Purdue have been secondary citizens, so to speak, in that regard. So this would be a huge win for Indiana. There's no question about it. But let's face facts here. This is going to be a challenge, and Notre Dame's got a really good football team, and Marcus Freeman's done a great job since he's been there of building to where they're at this point, just like Cignetti has done it so quickly here at IU. So all I can say at this juncture is I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun to be a part of it, and we'll see what happens.
Well, and a great point, Greg Rakestraw with us earlier pointed out that game in 91 was the first of NBC's contract with Notre Dame. That kicked off that long time running contract. And so this obviously will be the first game broadcast from Notre Dame, not on NBC. And ironically, NBC now a Big Ten partner. So that's kind of odd, the irony there. But all kinds of good stuff coming up. Looking forward to that. And I know we've only got a minute or so left here. Just completely skipped over the fact that Indiana basketball opens up Big Ten play tonight against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, which doesn't sound like a huge game on paper, and maybe it's not on paper, but it's a conference game, and we've seen the Big Ten Conference has been wicked. Ask Purdue about going to Penn State or whatever the case may be. This conference is at least nine teams deep, Don, in my opinion, and teams that you're going to have to fight for the top spot.
Well, there's no question. I think in any game that you go into now, when you talk about Big Ten play, is critical. I think the league is. I don't think the league is quite what it has been, to be honest, from a total perspective.
Not at the top.
No, I just don't think that they have that marquee team at this juncture. Somebody could turn into that. Michigan State looks like they're pretty good right now. Oregon's another ball club that we don't see or hear a lot about around here these days, but they've got a great coach, Dana Altman. I've always thought that their program out there was very tough, and I think they'll be a factor as well. But right now, I think it's anybody's ball game in the Big Ten, and the team that gets hot, especially here early, can maybe establish itself in that regard. But Indiana has that opportunity, and Indiana's still not what we're seeing. They had 16 turnovers in that game against Miami. That kept Miami in that contest because Indiana really did a pretty good job defensively throughout that ball game. 37% shooting and 23% in the second half from Miami. That's a good defensive performance, but they still were able to hang around because Indiana turned the ball over and gave up some second chance opportunities as well to Miami, a team that they could have, probably dominated from the board perspective and did overall 46-29, but they still gave up 12 offensive rebounds that were second chance opportunities. So right now, this team's still got a lot to work on. I think they're probably getting healthier. I think Kanan Carlisle, I don't know if he'll be back for this ball game or not because he's missed several now. But Gabe Cupps, of course, has also been out. We'll just see how that plays out into it as well. But I do think that the perimeter play for Indiana is the real key for this basketball team. And because they've got the bigs, we know that. They've just got to get the offensive going from a perimeter standpoint and be a little more consistent in that regard if they're going to be a really outstanding ball club throughout the year.
Yeah, we've seen them try to here of late. They looks like they have changed the approach a little bit more perimeter oriented, but yet we'll see how that continues. Don, I appreciate you, sir. We will see you tonight on the broadcast for the Hoosiers hosting the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Thanks, Jim. See ya.
Thank you, sir. Don Fischer joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio. If you're looking for a great gift for the Indiana sports fan in your life, just go to isbradio.itemorder.com and you'll find plenty of options, including sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, pullovers, caps, and much more, including our Welcome to the Sig 10 line that benefits the local Boys and Girls Club. That's isbradio.itemorder.com. isbradio.itemorder.com.